Hey guys, welcome to TFL's live show. What car or truck should I buy? I am Andre.
And I'm Nathan. Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, thanks for joining us. As always, we have We have a super chat, live chat room, right? So we can take your questions, comments, feedback, and we also have a couple prepared questions that we received on our email, info@tflcar.com. And but also we have a big topic to start with, right?
We do, and we have. It's not exclusive, but we're one of the few who has this very interesting sketch that was leaked to us.
Yes.
No, I see it now. Sorry, my eyes can't quite see it. I was a little bit of a glare, but yeah, I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
So, guys, what you might be looking at is the theme and the shape, possibly, of the upcoming Nissan Frontier. Now, why are they doing it this way? Why are they putting the new engine and transmission in the old truck and then they're going to pop it into the new truck? Really good question. We do know that a new truck is coming. That is for sure. Nissan said they were, and they said it would be a radical new design. They said that. There are a lot of questions though. So this could answer one of them in terms of what is it going to kind of be like. This could be it.
Yeah, so like you said, the 2020 Frontier is imminent, right? We reviewed it a few weeks ago, but some of the deliveries were kind of slowed down by the virus shutdowns. They have a new engine, but the all-new 2021 Nissan Frontier is coming. They said that.
Yes, they did. They said that. Now,
yeah.
And we've gone over some of our theories, but Nissan's never been real keen on talking about why they decided to keep the old platform going with the new engine. My theory is that it's going to save them money before retooling and going to a brand new platform, because even though this is supposed to be a similar platform, Nissan said this, they said it'll be very similar in some ways to the old truck. It is not the same platform. It's not the same sheet metal. It's not the same interior. Everything is supposed to be competitive. And from what I'm seeing with this sketch, if this is a hint to what they're building, it's going to be really different.
Yeah, and this is basically a sketch or like a prototype that was leaked just a day ago or so. But apparently, but by the way, thanks to NissanNationPodcast.com, this is basically the source for this particular image. So we have to thank the guys over there for their information and story, anything we have on this particular story. And this image appears, the reason why I got excited by this, and this may not be what their actual truck looks like completely, but just the departure of overall style, right? It's not a, it's a revolution. This styling would be really, really in your face, really bold, really square. And the other thing, you can kind of see this little O of NISMO in the grill. And I also not sure what that means, because so far, or recently, in fact, Nissan NISMO means it's kind of their car performance division, right?
Recently, yes, but the first generation Nissan Titan had a NISMO version for a couple of years that was replaced later on by the Pro 4X.
Yes.
And so for a little while, NISMO was sort of their off-roady thing as well. So perhaps they're bringing it back.
Yeah, so that's kind of exciting. That's kind of why we had a lot of feedback from you guys, right? Didn't we?
Yeah, both pro and con. Some people are like, what the hell are they doing? And other people are like, yes, please do something bold and cool. You know what some people said? I actually got a private message from one person just before the broadcast started. And they were saying, please don't make the same mistake you made with the Warrior concept, where they built this really cool concept and they didn't really come close to the actual truck when that came out, because the Warrior was cool. And we all agree that that vehicle, had they sold it looking that way, would have probably, I would say most likely, increased Titan sales.
Yeah, obviously sometimes concept trucks can be really, big wishful thinking, right? Kind of vision. Right. But you gotta also back it up, right? You gotta have something that you can buy, that you can sell at the dealership. and just go all the way with that. Let's look at a couple of comments here in the chat room.
Yeah, somebody asked MPG. Hey, Andre, what was your MPG when you drove yours? Because it wasn't released, but you did drive one of the older platform, but with the newer engine.
Yeah. So the 2020, we have a full review on TFL Truck. The 2020 Frontier. Well, first of all, let's talk about the engine really fast. So it's a 3.8 liter gas V6, and they say it's not really related to any other engine. I was like, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. Is this a GTR engine? You know, can you twin turbocharge it? Well, Nissan said no. It's a specific truck engine that was meant specifically for truck duty and specifically for the Frontier. It has a lot of new parts. They said about 90% new as far as design, and 310 horsepower and about 281 pound-feet of torque. So that's a lot of horses. This would be the leading truck in the midsize segment.
For horsepower, it would. Remember, the old one had about 261 horsepower, I believe. And so this is a significant increase, even though their displacement's gone down a little tiny bit. And another thing, 9-speed automatic transmission, very similar to the one that they're currently using inside the Titan.
Yeah, and a 9-speed automatic, right. Which is very similar to the Titan transmission, if not almost identical, which is actually kind of cool because you have a bigger transmission, right, in the smaller truck, which means it's overbuilt. I mean, in theory, that's kind of what it means.
In theory. Yeah. Unfortunately, what this means is that Nissan has discontinued their manual 6-speed transmission option, at least for now. Mm-hmm. They said nothing about bringing one back in the future either. So you manual transmission lovers, you might be out of luck.
Yeah, so we tested it. I don't remember every number in my head, but EPA numbers, I believe, are just coming out for the new engine in the Frontier. Right. And it's supposed to be like a 1 or a 2 mpg improvement to what it was as far as combined ratings.
Yeah, Nissan said it would be up to 10% better.
Yeah, which should be 2 mpg at least. And I believe I got closer to 21 or 22 mpg on our loop, which actually, for the real world number, it's a really great result, and it was a complete transformation to where Frontier was before. I mean, the truck feels the same. You have still the same steering wheel, the same dash, basically the same, doors and etc. in the cab, but the shifting on the transmission is very smooth, very nice. The engine is, it sweeps the RPM range really quickly. So overall, it's a pretty nice power plant.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it works in the new platform. So let's talk about this new truck now. So we know what the base is. We know that it's going to have a certain engine with a certain transmission. I would assume it's going to have probably the same rear end and most likely similar types of suspension components. So I don't think there's going to be anything radical coming anytime soon. However, looking at that sketch, seeing that it might be a NISMO, which means that it could be a higher performance version of this truck, is it out of the question to think that Nissan might be going after higher end off-road trucks like the Gladiator and the Chevy Colorado ZR2? I think it's a possibility.
I would welcome that 100%. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
The Pro 4X lineup is already strong, right? We've tested many of these trucks, Frontiers and Titans. They're just kind of the trucks that can do it. By that, I mean, they're pretty solid. They have good shocks, Bilsteins. They have, usually a locker in the back. So if they can improve on those features, maybe raise the ground clearance a little bit and improve some of those characteristics, I think that would be great.
I agree 100%. Look, I've always made it clear that I feel that Nissans have been underrated, especially their trucks. And the Frontier did really well in a lot of testing that we did, specifically off-road testing. But one of the places that the Frontier's sort of been behind has been higher tech, economy, and even towing. It could tow better. And according to the numbers that they recently released, it does tow a little bit better in its current form with its old platform, right? So what if this new platform is a little bit lighter, or perhaps just built a different way and allows for even greater towing and even better payload? I
Mhm.
think that those are good assumptions. And judging by what I'm seeing on this truck, it definitely looks like they want to make a super off-road version, which means they may have even beefier suspension, Fox, who knows, beefier tires, which they kind of need. And I don't know, what about a front locker? Or what about better armor underneath? These are things that they could easily, well, fairly easily do to compete at that higher end and still have their Pro 4X kind of the same way Toyota has their off-road package, which is a really respectable financially package that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it will still get you off-road and still gives you a rear locker.
Yeah, that would be really amazing, especially, if you're looking at the 2020 Titan, the interior is much improved now in that truck, bigger screens, nicer materials, high resolution screens.
Nice
So
seats.
yeah, nice seats. So if you combine all of that together, that could be really cool. I want to just say hello to some of the viewers. We have Pernell Robertson, Second Creek Workshop, Jamie Ramirez, Dan Atkinson, Chase Younggreen, Christopher T, Ron Smith. Thank you guys for always supporting us during these live shows, your feedback and questions. I believe Colorado lifted, Dan had a question about the virus shutdowns. Colorado lifted its kind of a stay-at-home order this over the weekend, but not every business is like, wide open. So we're still kind of in transition.
Yeah, we're trying to maintain. Most businesses are saying, okay, we're partially open, limited customer service, maintain social distancing, wear masks, be careful and all that. Other businesses aren't following that, but for the most part, I would say a majority of the businesses are. So that's where we are right now, at least today.
I have to ring the bell.
Ring it.
Because we have a donation from Luke O1234. Thank you, Luke O. Luke O says, I have a 2019 Nissan Frontier Crew Cab long bed, and I'm perfectly happy with it, dated or not. And I can see why, Luke. I mean, those trucks are still solid, no matter what configuration. We used to also test King Cab 4-cylinder manual truck. It was a base model, 2-wheel drive. That was still a solid truck. It was really cool.
I'm a lot more comfortable. I'm a big, hefty guy, and I'm a lot more comfortable inside the Frontier than I am in the Tacoma. I tend to think that Tacomas look a little bit cooler, just my own personal opinion. But in terms of which one I would own if they were the same, equipment, same price and everything else, I would go for the Nissan because I'm a little bit more comfortable in it.
Yeah, there's another question up here that says, will Nissan Titan ever have a crew cab 8-foot bed configuration? Unlikely, but here's what Nissan is doing. They still have the Titan XD. They discontinued the diesel version. So some people thought, oh wait, the XD is gone. No, it's still there. For 2020, it's updated, and it has their latest, gas V8, 9-speed automatic. All that stuff is there. And now it's a crew cab with a 6.5-foot bed. So it's more usable as a bigger truck if you need more capacity, more hauling, more towing. So it's kind of a towing package on steroids, right? Where you're actually getting a bigger frame, bigger hubs, just a kind of a bigger truck. But I don't know if they'll go for an 8-foot bed. I mean, that's kind of the territory of the heavy duty trucks. And that's not it.
But they did have, historically, Nissan did have a long bed version of the first generation Titan, if you recall. And they also had a long bed version of their Frontier for years and years. So they do that from time to time. It's really a question of cab configuration as well. So I think that kind of plays into it, whether or not they want to build something that extends past their current limit. That's a big question. So
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure, but we'll see soon.
We have another donation from Nissan Nation Productions. Nissan Nation is the guys who allowed us to use this image. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your support. Obviously, you can go to Nissan Nation podcast, also on YouTube and on their website to kind of to see more about this image. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're hoping to see more stuff in the near future. We have seen a few test mules run around that have been heavily disguised, but it's pretty obvious that those test mules don't look anything like this. They look much more rounded and everything else. So it's really interesting to see this sketch or this concept and to see where it goes from there. I really hope that they do something like this that's that in your face. I really like that idea.
Yeah, and there's more news in the mid-size truck segment.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Before we can get to some more Nissan questions, which are, I think, a couple still, there is another mid-size trucklet coming, right? And we recently saw there was a spy image of sort of the body by itself, the chassis, sometimes called the body in white, actually being transported. And it was the new Hyundai Santa Cruz pickup truck.
Correctamundo, and it's been floating around the internet. It doesn't look fake at all to me. I mean, it looks like the real deal. We've seen several test mules of this vehicle in the snow and slightly off-road. This is a vehicle that, first of all, Hyundai has confirmed they're building. We actually were one of the first to break the story years and years ago at the Detroit Auto Show when this vehicle debuted. Very different vehicle from the one that debuted. The one that debuted is sort of like it was a partial quad cab. It didn't really have a big back seat. This one looks like something very similar to the Honda Ridgeline, where it has a good size rear seat. However, it has a similar exterior design, so it looks similar. Has a small bed. I'm going to say a little over 4 feet, maybe even up to 4.5 feet. So if you drop the tailgate, you're going to have close to 6 feet worth of length, which is usable. And the best part I'd say about this vehicle is it strikes me as something that's going to undercut the Honda Ridgeline. So for those of you who thought the Ridgeline was a little too expensive, this Hyundai may be less expensive, and it's a really good chance that it's going to have the turbocharged power plant that's currently available inside the Santa Fe.
Yeah, and so a lot of truck guys don't like the concept of a crossover truck, right?
Yeah.
But that's not really me. I'm of the mindset if it has a pickup bed, it can be a useful pickup truck, right? It doesn't matter if if it has a subframe, not a full ladder frame. So to me, I'm excited by this. The Santa Cruz. We don't know a lot of official information about it still. Like you were saying, it probably will have a turbocharged engine, probably a gas engine, right?
Yeah, they had a rumor about a diesel for years, but it's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know about diesels. I mean, if you look at kind of passenger vehicles and diesels, it's kind of declining, right? They're not introducing more. It's becoming less and less.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So only the heavier trucks are getting still very popular with diesel engines. So not the smaller vehicles, but if we have another truck or trucklet, a crossover truck, I think that's good news. And I just wanted to unveil it already because
yeah, it's been forever, and it's gone through a lot of red tape to make it this far. One of the things they were doing most likely was keeping an eye on Ridgeline sales, which, although they haven't been blowing through the roof, they've been very stable. And one of the things that I tend to say to truck people, look, I love trucks. I will always own some sort of truck, but there are a lot of people out there who don't need the overall capability, off-road ability, or towing capability of a pickup truck, but they need something that can haul stuff around, and they still need to haul the kids. Now, look, we all know that trucks are very capable of doing that, but if you have something that's a little bit more car-like, where people don't have to worry about a big, strong, powerful vehicle, but something that's a lot more mellow, easier to get into, easier to drive, easier for those people to own, I say go for it. Not only that, but overseas, these trucks, which for instance, in Australia, they call them utes. They sell a hell of a lot of them in China and Japan. These vehicles are extremely popular because they are actually fairly capable. Some of the old utes could hold 1,500 pounds in the bed, no problem. and they got decent mileage and they were easy to drive. So I say bring it on. The more competition there is, the better it is for you guys out there, because it forces everybody else to up their game, to either make more technology available for less money or even the truck slightly less expensive. So that's a possibility. I love it.
Yep, and it kind of goes into the next question we have in the chat room from JC. What's Nissan's safety rating is the question. And that's really cool because on Friday's live show, we also had Russ from IIHS.org, Insurance Institute of Highway Safety, with us. I learned a lot from Russ during that show.
It was a fantastic interview.
Yeah, and we want to continue that in the future in our TFL podcast. So we're going to dig deeper, a little bit deeper into the latest safety ratings and safety just testing in general. And right now, because the Nissan Frontier, for example, is the most aged truck in that segment, it does not have the highest rating by the latest standard, right? Because what IHS does is they include or continue to have more and more stringent and harder to meet tests, because the vehicles are becoming quicker, faster. You need that type of stuff. So the Nissan Frontier currently does not have a high rating, but I'm pretty sure that Nissan is watching all of this, and they will have safety built in, just like they have the safety built into other vehicles they have, including adaptive cruise, all those technologies, driver safety, collision avoidance, backup assist, whatever it may be. I think they will have it.
I'll give Nissan a little bit of credit because they have safety features standard on every car they build now, available in the United States, that a lot of other companies do not offer. And that in itself is commendable. Yes, there are some issues out there. A lot of people are still really upset about their CVTs and some of their quality issues. But the good news is this new truck seems to have a pretty strong transmission. It's not a CVT. And putting tons of technology in a truck, which is basically being used as a passenger vehicle, makes a ton of sense. And so I agree with Andre. They're probably going to shove all this stuff into that truck.
Yeah, now every Titan is sold with their driver assistance technology suite, right?
Right.
Like you were saying. So I'm sure the next Frontier will have very similar equipment, if not even more, right? And also their technologies like, the adaptive cruise control system, maybe more advanced version of it as we look to the future. So all of that is still very possible. Christopher T has a question related to smaller trucks. He says, I'm interested in the Ford Courier, or whatever they will call it. Well, we think we know what they will call it.
We think we know.
Yes, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
There's no official word. What is it?
The Ford Maverick. Now,
Yes.
We managed to break the story, or one of the video outlets to break the story, that the vehicle, like the Ford Maverick, could very well be produced. And it was put out there by Steven. Andre, was that put on Truck or was that put on Now?
That was on this channel, yeah, on Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
On TFL Now. And that came out a few days ago. This is what happened. We were leaked a image of a tailgate design that clearly says Maverick on it. And it's a small tailgate. And everything we've been hearing about from Ford, including Ford themselves saying that they were looking at building a smaller pickup truck to slot underneath the Ranger, and the fact that we've seen a lot of test vehicles out there that are, once again, Utes, car-based or crossover-based pickups that are out there testing, it looks like this vehicle will be based on the same platform and a similar design to the Ford Bronco Sport, not the Bronco, but the Bronco Sport, which is based on the Escape platform. Now, if that's the case, then we already have a general idea of what type of power it could have and, roughly what the size is going to be. And it will be, if they do this, smaller than the Ranger, but passenger capacity will be about the same. In fact, it may even be better in the back seat because the current Escape has a massive back seat. So it'd be interesting to see what they do there. But anyway, we've got this tailgate design. So we did the video on that. Stephen Elmer from Canada did the broadcast. And A lot of you guys are pretty excited about it. I am too. I am really looking forward to see what the next step is with this. This should be, if it's built, decent in terms of carrying capacity. I would imagine they're going to try to be competitive with the Ridgeline, even though it's smaller, and with this upcoming Santa Cruz. And then on top of that, it should have a pretty decent all-wheel drive system. Ford has been pretty good about all-wheel drive with some of their vehicles. And we're going to see, before that, the Ford Bronco Sport. So it's logical to assume if it's built on this platform, whatever the Bronco Sport's able to do, this thing will be able to do possibly even better.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. I think we're still a year or two away from this particular truck because, I mean, Ford is really busy. Like you said, the Bronco Sport, Bronco, the latest F-150, the Mach-E Mustang that they're launching. I mean, they're very busy right now. So this maybe next year that we'll see something about that. So not quite this year. I had a question here. Sorry, I'm just trying to juggle a lot of different areas here. Oh, well, Christopher.
Go ahead.
Christopher just donated $5. Thank you, Christopher.
Oh, Christopher, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you for your support. We also had a prepared question, Nathan. Did you have something? Just now?
No, go ahead.
So this kind of relates to what you and I were seeing at the Chicago Auto Show, Nathan. So this question came from Jason Byrne, and Jason is really interested in the new 2021 Chrysler Pacifica all-wheel drive. He says, thank you for doing your videos. I'm hoping in the near future you can do some reviews of the new Pacifica all-wheel drive. Well, we hope so too.
We will. No, it's inevitable. First of all, everybody at FCA knows what we're about. We do a lot of testing in the snow and in difficult environments. The whole purpose of building an all-wheel drive minivan is so it can perform in snow and inclement weather. So that was why they built this thing. They made it really clear that they wanted us to get our hands on it as soon as possible. Now, the big question is whether or not we're going to go to a press event and drive one first, or if they're going to send one to us and we'll drive it here. And that's something that automakers are starting to do. They're starting to send us vehicles right, fresh out of the package that we're able to drive here. So that way, the contact thing and coronavirus and all that, we can kind of take that all aside, just get the vehicle, put it out there, make a video for you guys to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's coming like within the next couple of months. It may be in the later summer or fall, because I think they were targeting like third or fourth quarter, Nathan. I can't remember exactly.
I think it was third quarter. And so, they may be a little bit behind with what's going on with the delays, but I don't think they'll be too far back. Bear in mind, these companies have had to retool and whatnot. This vehicle doesn't just have all-wheel drive. It has a new interior and it has an updated exterior design. So that means new stampings and new components. So they already got a lot of that in place, ready to go for them to produce the vehicle. So the good news is that once things mellow out and we're able to get back to work, they'll be able to start producing these vehicles for you guys. Now, by the way, real quickly, some people are a little confused. This is just the regular with the V6, the Pentastar, all-wheel drive minivan. They do not build and they do not expect to be building a plug-in hybrid with all-wheel drive. Although that may come in the future from FCA or somebody else, right now, it's not available and it won't be available from FCA.
Yeah, but the plug-in will still continue, right?
That's right. It will still be the same platform. It's the same plug-in hybrid system. Basically, they were saying the performance is about the same as it was before. The cool thing, by the way, with the all-wheel drive is that despite the fact that they have a drive shaft and a rear end and everything else, they still had the same size fuel tank, and it didn't add that much weight. They didn't really have to lift it really high or anything else. It has a little bit of a lift kind of, but it's not something that really impacts its overall ground height. So that means better aerodynamics. Yeah, some of you guys out there want it lifted so you can, kind of bounce off road. I don't really think that's what it's for.
I think they were thinking quickly 4x4, just boom.
Could you imagine modifying something like that? I think it would be really cool. But they remember, Chrysler, they used to have their older minivans had all-wheel drive as an option, and they were pretty good systems. They worked all right. So this new one, it promises to be good. And the cool part is, really, their only competitor is Toyota. Toyota is the only other minivan sold in the United States that has the option for all-wheel drive.
Yeah. Speaking of Toyota, really quick, before we get to Toyota, there's a question from James Beeman that I meant to answer, but it kind of slipped my mind. James is wondering what's up with our Gunsmoke project, which is our classic truck. It's a 1989 F350 one-ton four-wheel drive truck, which we're going to be selling for charity, which is really exciting. We're still working on it. So the next step is we want to put some beefy new tires, because the tires on the truck now are old and really not good. And we've been slowed down by this dang shutdown. We cannot get a tire sponsor to help us out. So we're still looking for tires, but as soon as those tires arrive, which should be in the next week or two, we'll be taking it off-road, testing it, doing videos with it, so we can finally get it all dressed up as much as we can and actually sell it for charity. So that's coming as soon as we can get over this little hurdle. So that's really coming. You mentioned Toyota, Nathan.
Yes, I did.
There's a press release just came out today, actually, from Toyota. And they are, first of all, they're doing some new stuff with their Prius, and that should be on tflcar.com, that information. But also they have an online debut, a live stream next Monday. So stay tuned for that, because about a week from now, next Monday morning, they're gonna have 2 vehicles debut. And I was kind of excited and surprised by this. And people are saying that this might be either their new updated hybrid Sienna minivan, the all-wheel drive, and potentially the new Venza, the Toyota Venza SUV that went away. They had it, that went away, and now they're trying to bring it back.
That's so we hear. That's what we hear. Now, with the Toyota Sienna, there was actually some leaked images from a dealership meeting with Toyota showing that they had not only a hybrid Sienna, but only a hybrid Sienna, that the rumor has it will only be available as a hybrid, and then possibly as a hybrid all-wheel drive minivan. Remember, I was saying that the plug-in hybrid all-wheel drive not going to happen, but they already have a system that's already set up for their larger SUVs or crossovers like the Highlander, right? Mm-hmm. And so they might adapt this system basically to run with the Sienna. And if that's the case, they might still win the MPG war and still have an all-wheel drive vehicle available. So we don't know for sure, but that could be one of the announcements coming up.
Yeah. And also a hybrid Venza. It's very possible. And like you said, the Highlander has their latest hybrid system. It's a little bit more efficiency minded, right? Yep. So it's not a full high performance system, although they might have something in the future, because remember the 2021 RAV4 Prime, which is kind of a quick hybrid or a plug-in hybrid system. So this is not it. This is more kind of efficiency minded systems, and we'll learn more about it next week. This is kind of all we know so far, but stay tuned. Next Monday, it's going to be boom. Toyota is going to be coming out really strong.
Do you recall what time that was supposed to be, roughly? I think it's in the morning.
It's supposed to be in the morning time. I can't remember, before lunch.
This upcoming Monday, maybe we'll cover, if it's significant enough, maybe we'll cover some of that in the live broadcast a week from today.
Yeah, but also probably on this channel, we'll also have news videos with first information for you guys. You don't have to wait till the live show. You could see it right there, right on this channel. You'll have all of that for you. So that's going to be really exciting. Yep. Aviation Channel says he also wants to see a hybrid Palisade. That would be an interesting. That would be
Well,
an
that's
interesting.
another company that has the technology to do it. Right now, their Palisade sales, I mean, this very moment, obviously, sales are down across the board, but the Palisade has been doing well and has been creeping up the board, and it's been winning awards left and right. And one of the things, Hyundai is a pragmatic company. They've figured out a lot of things about the American audience and what we like. Having an affordable luxury SUV that's that capable really makes a lot of sense. Making it a hybrid makes a lot of sense. And so I would imagine that within the next few years, you could see that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of other comments and questions. First, let's hit the Nissan comment. Davey Boy Smith says, is a new Frontier engine, which is direct injection, just as reliable as the tried and true 4-liter, which wasn't direct injected? We don't know.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're gonna
brand new,
beat on
man.
it when we get it. But from what Nissan tells us, and manufacturers do this a lot, as soon as when the engine is first goes into production, it has millions of miles of testing or simulations, on the computers, and real world testing, real world miles. So assuming, they've done all of this stuff, it should have pretty reasonable durability, reliability, but we won't know for the next couple of years.
No,
If it's really
not realistically, not through our own perspective. However, I can tell you that, I talked to a lot of Nissan guys. They're pretty good about talking to us, and they were saying, "Look, we can't get this wrong. This needs to come right out of the box as a strong, reliable, tough engine." We tested the hell out of it. They've been testing it for years and years. It is a new, pretty much an all new engine, and it's something that they want to be competitive, and they want it to be, the VQ series of engines from the past, including the one I have in my own Nissan Pathfinder, which is still rock strong. These are legendary engines because they're so damn reliable. They got great power. So they want to go up that level and say, okay, that's what we want this engine to represent in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to ring the bell. Thank you again.
Oh, Ronald, thank you.
Ronald Strode, $5. Sorry I'm late. Can't wait for a new Frontier. Thanks, guys. Well, we didn't unveil a new Frontier. This is kind of a prototype image that we have. So you didn't miss a heck of a lot, but we're still excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, this video, this live broadcast becomes a video later on, and you can review what we mentioned at the beginning of it, and we will review it as well and answer a few of your questions.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of funny comments I saw. I believe Christopher T said Honda Odyssey should have a Type R. Then
Yes.
somebody said that Ying Chang said that the Toyota Sienna should have a GR race version Sienna. You know what? Did you do a video with the Sienna, the previous generation, on a racetrack?
Yeah.
Wasn't it an SE?
I was one of the first idiots to take one on a racetrack. What happened was the old reps from Toyota brought this thing out, the SE version. Now, the SE has slightly more sporty stance, slightly beefed up suspension. It has a different steering gear in it, but it's the same powertrain and all that. And we were at a
Isn't it
track.
this Swagger wagon?
Swagger wagon. It was just before they started calling them the Swagger wagon. They brought it to the racetrack, and they really were just going to use it for transportation back and forth. And I turned to the guy and I said, "Well, you say it's higher performance. There's a racetrack right here. Why not let me take it on it?" "Yeah, go ahead." And I did. And I mean, for a big square box, it handled pretty good. It's not exactly what I'd call a sports car. Back then, the Mazda 5, which is sort of a minivan, handled better. But otherwise, it was really solid. So there you go. I mean, if you guys are desperate for a good handling minivan, it's pretty good. Oh,
Another donation.
yeah.
Thank you very much. D. People says Nissan should spin the Titan off as its own brand. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think before they spin it off, they need to have maybe a greater range, maybe a halo vehicle, a lot more sales before they can spin it off.
Yeah, I mean, Nissan has other brand names around the world. You know that Datsun still exists. They actually kind of brought the name back, and they're selling Datsuns in third world countries and whatnot as really inexpensive cars. And of course, they have Infinity. But in terms of Titan, I suppose you could say that they would have to have, I don't know, 3 or 4 other vehicles to stack on top that they would all call Titans. I think it would be a lot of work and a lot of extra PR that they can't really afford to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, just get the basic vehicles, get, successful, and just keep going.
Right,
So,
right.
JC says, do you think U.S. automakers will team up and make an ultimate off-road truck or SUV, Andre? I don't know if they need to team up necessarily. So Jeep's been big on ultimate off-road for a long time. They have the Wrangler Rubicon. There's another rumor that they're going to also have a Mojave Wrangler version, basically more of a desert runner rather than kind of a rock crawler. So that's a rumor, by the way. Not quite, official information there. And of course, the new Ford Bronco is coming out, which is supposed to be a direct Wrangler competitor, just really tightly linked together and kind of fighting against each other. So I think what we're seeing is not teaming up, but competition coming together and actually making everybody better at the same time.
With that being said, they actually do team up from time to time with certain components. Some of the development costs of transmissions and of certain powertrains have actually gone through multiple companies. That way they save a little bit of money in development. The 10-speed transmission that's available in, well, that's standard now in all Ford trucks, or most Ford trucks, sorry, and some General Motors trucks. That was sort of co-developed between those two companies. So there are times where they will team up to do these types of things, but all of them getting together to build a truck or a series of trucks, that's doubtful.
Yeah, and the weirdest team up that I've heard of recently is that Honda and General Motors announced recently that Honda will use General Motors electric platforms to build electric Hondas. Like when I heard that, my brain exploded. It was part of the announcement of their new, Hummer electric and their new chassis, and which is not going to be only trucks. They're also going to have car chassis. So basically, kind of a skateboard orientation with batteries and motors and wheels.
Well, Honda has their new little EV car, which is available overseas, and it's supposed to be a pretty fun car. It's supposed to, be great. But what they're looking at is expanding their audience. Despite all the changes that have happened, everything from the EPA to, gas dropping and all that, people are still very much on board with building EV vehicles for the near future. So it stands to reason that certain companies will partner up with other technology companies to build, cost-effective EVs. Ford's doing that with Rivian. They're working together to come up with technology. It's not unheard of. Actually, I'm surprised that nobody's partnered with Tesla, but that could very well be the fact that Tesla is just one of those companies that just doesn't want to partner.
But they used to work with Toyota.
Toyota, that's right. They did for a little while, and that was a disaster.
Well, maybe that's why. But anyways, they used to have a RAV4 electric that had actually the running gear from a Tesla.
Older Teslas, and it just wasn't great. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan H brings up a good point here. Along with, I'm sorry, I missed who started that thread, but the Xterra. There's a couple of comments that the Xterra should come back. Oh boy, I really wish it would.
There's a funny thing about the Xterra and why it went away. First of all, people slowed down on buying it, so the demand wasn't really out there for a while. And Nissan, I believe, felt that between their new Pathfinder, which this is before it transitioned into basically a station wagon, and their Armada, they kind of had that whole area taken care of, that people just didn't want these smaller, serious off-roaders, and they're wrong. They were wrong to discontinue it. So, the theory is that with the new platform, like they're going to be building for this new Frontier, maybe they'll do something else with it to make it more cost effective and build an SUV, a proper one to sit on top of it. And maybe that would be the return of the Xterra. It's not beyond them to do that. But the thing about Nissan is they've been very serious about electrifying and also making more efficient vehicles. So I don't know how realistic that is, but I agree with you 100%. They should bring back the Xterra.
And you know what they do with the Pathfinder, right? They often do kind of a trucky Pathfinder, then crossover Pathfinder, then truck-based Pathfinder. I'm really hoping we're in the precipice of like a truck-based Pathfinder coming out.
That is a rumor, by the way, that they might be considering that and changing it over to regular automatics and ditching CVTs. That's been a long time rumor. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that first generation Pathfinder, that was a truck. Basically, that was a Nissan truck, real simple. Second generation was a unit body, but it did still have a solid rear axle, and it was a proper off-roader. It was capable. And then the third generation, and I'm pretty sure that's the one, you know, in terms of Pathfinder moving up to Xterra, that was a truck that had a live axle, it had a frame underneath, basically the same thing as a Frontier, very similar to a Frontier, and that was a solid truck. So would they go back to something like that? That's the big question. So maybe they're going back into that realm of saying, Americans are buying a lot of trucks now. Trucks are outselling cars now. Maybe we should build a truck again.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, it's affected by a lot of factors, right? Total fleet, efficiency regulations, or, slowdowns of economies. It's just, it's very hard to think about. But I think Xterra, especially with the Bronco coming back, and especially with the Wrangler there, I think an Xterra would be a really solid, and the 4Runner is still there, right? So
still going.
As long as those things are there, I mean, Xterra, I think it makes sense to, the business case should be there.
Maybe they'll make an all-electrical Xterra, something that'll compete with the GMC Hummer. Who knows? I mean, I'm not saying do that. I would really prefer to have a conventional, proper off-road rig, but you never know. Nissan actually has been on the forefront of EV technology for years, so they could do that. Who knows?
Yeah, their Leaf has been, one of the more popular cars as far as sales.
Yep.
Across the world. Alex Cage has donated $5. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. What do you guys think I made the right choice getting a 2019 VW Atlas instead of a Pathfinder? I think I like that decision. I like it.
I do 100%. And Andre, we did a video, I believe you did it with me, where we took the Atlas and the Pathfinder off-road. And we compared
that together? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago.
It was a couple of years, right when the Atlas came out. And the Atlas, look, no vehicle is perfect, and the Atlas has its flaws, but compared to the other vehicles that it competes against, it's one of my favorites. It's very roomy, very comfortable. I love the engine, and I think that off-road, that system worked great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think comparatively speaking, I like the Atlas a little bit more because it's just a little bit larger for a 3-row crossover. I mean, I'm just over 6'2", so for me, that feels better.
Yeah,
just
good elbow room too.
Yeah, more room in general, and I think if Nissan is redesigning the Pathfinder, which I think they're in the process of doing, they're probably going to make it bigger too, a little bit at least. Because all vehicles seems to be growing just a little bit as we progress.
Look how big the Versa is now. It's massive. Yeah, it's things change that way, but that's also because that's what the public wants.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's really important, of course. There was one comment about bringing back old names, right? Like an Xterra in another form, and that a lot of people don't, if you get that wrong, people don't like it.
Yeah.
Or if the name doesn't match the vehicle, right?
So we've seen that before.
I think that's very important. Yes, that's very important.
The Dodge Dart, oh God, how many people are upset about the Chevy Blazer? I mean, the reality is that a name does matter, and bringing the right name to the right vehicle is important.
JC is asking, any news on the new Bronco? Technically, no, not hard news. You've seen, I think, everything we've seen with all the prototype shots, information leaks. It seems to be that the bigger Bronco, the Ranger-based Bronco, is going to be a true Wrangler competitor. I think it's becoming more and more clear. We just want to see the thing, just unveil it.
We need
So
numbers, dude. We need numbers.
yeah, hard numbers, hard engine specs, everything. And the Bronco Sport, like we said, it's a smaller thing, more crossover based, escape based. Also pretty exciting because it kind of looks like almost like a Renegade or Cherokee competitor, right? So it's kind of in that space.
Which is great. Once again, the more competition, the better. Every single time somebody builds something to go directly up against something that you guys would buy, that means that they're forced to up their game. And that's what we've seen by doing this for years and years. Whenever that happens, it's good for you guys. And Ford's not playing around. Look, they got rid of all their cars except for the Mustang. So they're really serious in the truck game. And that's why I'm really looking forward to both Broncos, actually. Thing is, there was a new rumor. It's just over the net. It's not substantiated by anybody, saying that Ford is considering using the Coyote in a special version of the Bronco because the Coyote will see life past 2021. That's the rumor, and that they want to, add that to their portfolio. But once again, it is just a rumor, and it's not backed by any fact.
Yeah, it's kind of the same rumor that says that the new Raptor will have a supercharged V8, right? There's nothing really official on that. And I think it's highly unlikely in my view, but the new Rebel TRX is coming, and that's supposed to be supercharged based on everything we know. And of course, we just had some leaked news today, right?
That's right.
About a possibly supercharged Chevy Silverado ZRX. So that's on TFL Truck channel, actually. So you guys can check that out. That's once again unofficial, but this is everything we have.
Yeah, sorry about that noise, neighbor's dog right there.
Do you have a little coworker?
I have a creature that is about to be sacrificed and used as a meal, and I'm looking forward to that.
No, it's no big deal.
Okay.
You're in your home office, so
I am in my home office, and the dog has just been removed from the room. I'm sorry, guys. He snuck out. But
okay.
let's answer a couple more questions. We got Dan at the very bottom who had a quick question, and I think that let's wrap it up with a couple more.
Yeah, did you see Dan's question? Or I mean, somebody saying that they should put a V8 in the Colorado, like the old 5.3 that used to be in the Chevy Colorado. Oh, geez, that would be nice, but I don't think that's happening. The latest news is turbos, right?
Yeah. Well, look at it this way: the 5.3's output, if you compare it to the the small displacement 4-cylinder turbo that they're talking about putting in there, wow, you're much better off with the turbocharged 4. Not only that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to add displacement. And most companies are drawing everything down, and they're shrinking things down for regular consumption. A special version of that truck, that would be awesome. But I just don't see that happening. I sincerely doubt they're going to put a big V8 inside of the small Colorado.
There's people here in the chat room that said that you should have had the dog help us do the show. Actually, brought it in.
Well, you guys want to see that dog? That's my old dog. I don't know if he wants to.
Well, if he's grumpy, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, he's grumpy. I got a lot of animals, guys, and none of them are particularly nice.
Soylent Green says, but the V8, is better than the leaf blower that a turbocharged engine is, which is true on many levels. But guys, here's what I always come back to. If you look at some of the high-end cars, like the latest Mercedes GT, AMG cars, the coupes, the roadsters, some of the Ferraris, Porsches, they all have turbocharged engines. Almost none of them have straight up V8s anymore. And somehow on those high-end systems, they sound really great, right? I mean, so it is possible. You can have valves, you can have bypasses, you can have different things going on. So I think in the future, I'm hoping that technology can trickle down, and we can see some of that technology with actually kind of mean sounding turbo engines.
Look, I agree. I think that V8s sound way better than just about anything else out there. But the reality is that, people are concerned about consumption, and people are concerned about, ozone and all this other stuff. So in order to make more efficient engines, they tend to be smaller displacement and they tend to have less cylinders. So I would imagine that shoving a V8 in any mid-sized truck right now isn't very likely.
I have to ring the bell again.
Hit the bell.
Really great. Thank you guys for your support. This is Jeff Rev 2000, $5 donations. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff is asking, typically you guys don't recommend maxing out a vehicle max tow limits by any exception, but what about exceptions like a Titan XD or other trucks with mods? I would say this, usually the maximum towing rating and the maximum payload rating, they're kind of hard to match up because let's say you're putting what, a Titan XD tows about what, 12,000 pounds, let's say, okay?
Yep.
That equates on a bumper hitch to about 1,200 pounds of payload or of tongue weight that's pushing down on the truck. Okay, that's fine. Let's say that Titan has about a payload of what, 2,000 pounds, okay? So now you have 800 pounds left for people and other cargo in the truck. So I would watch the payload number more closely. If you have enough payload, it's okay to tow near the maximum, especially in the bigger truck like the XD. What happens is if you're towing near your maximum and you overloaded your payload, the suspension squats all the way, it starts to wiggle, bad things starts to happen, you're losing control. But as long as you can watch that payload number, I think coming up closer to those limits on towing is okay.
Yeah, and remember, guys, we've actually done a lot of videos maxing out vehicles. The Super Ike Gauntlet, not the regular Ike Gauntlet, but the Super Ike Gauntlet. We usually take those trucks right up to their limit, maxing out as close as we can to by still being safe, what their capabilities are. And they don't behave the way you might think. In some cases, they do really well. In other cases, it's like a real issue. And remember, whenever you guys go past the threshold and you're maxing out your vehicle, you're not just damaging your engine and your transmission. It's entirely possible you're damaging your brakes and your suspension as well.
Mm-hmm. And stopping is the key. You got it absolutely right, Nathan. It's fine if you can accelerate, but what about stopping? And a truck like the Titan XD does have kind of a little bit beefier brake system to allow you to stop that thing. So, and also guys, a lot of guys say, well, I added a helper spring on the back of my truck, so I'm fine. I can tow over maximum. Well, no, like we said, first of all, you need to make sure your transmission cooler is either there or working properly. Your brakes, all those things have to be there.
Right. And bear in mind, guys, if you do something to augment your vehicle's ability to tow or haul, if it's still under warranty, that could be an issue. You might void it. So make absolutely sure that you're making the right decisions when you decide to take a torch to it or add something to it.
Yeah. So guys, as always, thank you. A couple just final comment. I think the WW has reminded me of this. He says, what happened to the TFL Porsche? Well, so we're actually in the process of selling the Cayenne Turbo. We had the Trans Rockies edition. We recently also sold the Jeep Comanche pickup truck. So that kind of broke my heart, and I think it broke Tommy's heart more than, and Roman's hearts more than anything else.
We put that thing into a lot of videos. It's a good little truck, but there's only so much we can really do with a vehicle in terms of its life at TFL before it has to be sold on and moved. That's happened with Big Green. That happened with little Suzuki. Things eventually wear out and they need to move on somewhere else so we can bring in a new project and work on it. And we have a bunch of new projects that we're thinking about for the near future. Yeah, so Porsche, it's kind of on the way out. We have an interested buyer, but if that doesn't work out, you'll probably see more opportunity to maybe buy that turbo, the Cayenne Turbo. And we also, Tommy and Roman have gone on a mini shopping spree, and they picked up a couple of used minis. So we have that all over this channel and on the car channel as well, TFL Car.
So stay tuned for that. And also Tommy is doing a kind of a fleet update video as well. So pretty soon you should see kind of an update to everything, including our now beloved 1978 Subaru wagon DL 4-wheel drive. So that's really great.
I need to tell everybody about the video that you did with Tommy. Was that on Classics or was that on Car?
The car video, car.
Tommy and Andre took two different Subarus, a fairly modern Outback, and then this old Subaru DL, and went off-road with them. And it's a great video, not just because it compares the two and talks about what Subaru's doing now versus what they used to do, but it's just visually entertaining. Andre, it's one of my favorite videos that you and Tommy have done together. So
really?
I really enjoyed it. And even my wife, who doesn't watch videos, was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So I do recommend you guys check out that video. It is on TFL Car.
I appreciate that. Tommy and I had fun. And I think, you know, when you have fun making something, I think it translates, you know, it goes beyond. So I think that's really cool.
Except the hugging thing. Hugging a car, I don't ever want you to do that again. Don't ever hug a car again. Not like that. Not from the back. It's wrong.
On that note, I'm gonna close this down. Okay.
Guys, have a wonderful week. Stay safe and sane out there. We will be back with a live show with Mr. Truck, hopefully this Friday at the same time.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, guys.
We'll see you soon.